What kind of home does a country music legend retreat to when the spotlight fades? Nestled deep in the rolling hills of Tennessee, Chris Stapleton's 25-acre farmhouse isn't just a home. It's a sanctuary where lyrics echo off stone walls, and the quiet hum of nature becomes the perfect harmony. Today, we step beyond the gates of this peaceful estate to uncover the soul behind the songs, the legacy behind the land, and the lifestyle of one of America's most authentic voices. What if your entire life started in a coal town, and your destiny was hidden inside a single note sung on the porch? Chris Stapleton's story doesn't begin on a stage. It begins in the worn boots of a coal miner's son, where the dust of Staffordsville, Kentucky, clung to every breath and dream. Born to a mother who worked at the local health department and a father who was a coal mine engineer, Chris knew early on that life wasn't handed out. It was earned, one calloused hand at a time. The Appalachian hills around him didn't echo with fame, but with faith, grit, and the sound of steel-string guitars. As a kid growing up just outside Paintsville, he learned about loyalty on Friday night football fields and solitude during early morning walks by Paintsville Lake. He was the valedictorian of Johnson Central High, but even then, something deeper called to him. A feeling, a sound, a voice not yet formed, but waiting. At first, he chased reason. He enrolled at Vanderbilt University to study biomedical engineering, an ambitious path that promised security, not stardom. But then, fate whispered. One day, while talking to a Nashville songwriter who actually got paid to write lyrics, Chris realized something that changed everything. Music could be a life. He dropped out, picked up his guitar, and walked straight into the heart of Nashville's songwriting machine. No ego, no image, just raw talent. Within months, he signed with C. Gale Music and quietly began shaping the voices of others. Over the next 10 years, he wrote more than 1,000 songs. You might have heard them without knowing it. Hits for George Strait, Kenny Chesney, Adele, and Luke Bryan. Chris was the man behind the curtain, crafting stories for stars, while his own story remained unsung. But in 2007, something shifted. He formed the Steel Drivers, a bluegrass group that introduced his gravel-soaked voice to the world. The band soared to number 2 on the bluegrass charts, twice. Yet Chris wasn't done evolving. In 2010, he left to explore a different sound with the Johnson Brothers, a southern rock experiment that toured small clubs, opened for Zac Brown Band, and gave Chris the freedom to scream, sweat, and discover who he really was. But it wasn't until tragedy struck in 2013, after the death of his father, that the most important song of his life was born. Driving across New Mexico in an old Jeep his wife Morgane had just bought him, the landscape rolled out like a blank page. That's when it came. A melody, a line, a truth that became Traveler. It wasn't just a song, it was a soul map. Chris recorded the album with people he trusted, his wife singing harmonies, his longtime friends playing bass and drums, and producer Dave Cobb capturing the spirit instead of chasing perfection. When Traveler dropped in 2015, it didn't just land, it redefined modern country music. Then came the moment no one could forget. At the 2015 CMA Awards, Chris Stapleton, then still a newcomer in public eyes, stepped on stage with Justin Timberlake. They performed Tennessee Whiskey and Drink You Away with so much fire, it scorched the internet. Overnight, everything changed. People didn't just listen, they felt. Chris Stapleton became the voice of honesty in an industry often wrapped in glitter. Awards followed, Grammys, CMAs, ACMS. But the man remained the same. Still in flannel, still writing at night, still choosing soul over spotlight. He could have bought mansions in LA, partied in Manhattan, or moved to Malibu like so many others. But Chris chose Tennessee. Why? Because the land speaks his language. Because in the stillness of rolling fields, he hears the music of who he truly is. Because home isn't where your career ends, it's where your story begins. And now, we follow that story down a winding gravel driveway, right into the heart of his Tennessee farmhouse, where every wall, every window, and every whisper of wind feels like a verse only Chris Stapleton could write. Shall we step inside? Farm in Tennessee. What does peace sound like to a man who spent his life on stage? For Chris Stapleton, peace sounds like wind rustling through sycamore leaves. It smells like summer hay, and it lives at the end of a winding gravel driveway in the quiet countryside of Leiper's Fork, Tennessee. Set on 25 acres of rolling green hills, his farmhouse isn't grand in the celebrity sense. It's not dripping in gold or shouting for attention. It whispers. And when you arrive, the silence feels like a song waiting to be sung. A rustic wooden gate opens to reveal a private road lined with towering trees and open fields. Here, nature is not fenced in. It flows. As you drive past meadows and weathered fence posts, the home begins to appear like a memory rising out of the land. The house itself spans over 8,000 square feet, a modern southern farmhouse designed to blend in, not stand out. The exterior is a marriage of stone, dark wood, and wide glass windows that reflect the trees, the sky, and everything Chris holds sacred. The architecture is understated elegance, a low-sloped roof, a deep front porch, and natural stone walls that look like they've been there for 100 years. But make no mistake, this isn't just a house. It's a sanctuary. Let's step inside. The front door opens into a vaulted foyer filled with warm light and reclaimed wood beams. You're immediately greeted by the soft scent of cedar and old books. To the left is the living room, cozy yet spacious, with a massive stone fireplace that anchors the space. This is where Chris unwinds with his wife Morgane after long tour nights, where children tumble across rugs and where guitars lean against the wall, always within reach. The kitchen is wide and open, with state-of-the-art appliances that Morgane loves. There's a walk-in pantry, deep farmhouse sinks, and countertops made of thick cut stone. The centerpiece? A long wooden dining table where guests become family and meals turn into memories. On more than one occasion, a melody has been born right there, between coffee mugs and candlelight. There are 5 bedrooms in total, including 2 master suites, one on the ground floor and another upstairs. Each suite is like a private cabin within the home, complete with spa-style bathrooms, soaking tubs, reading nooks, and expansive windows that open to sweeping views of the Tennessee woods. The kids' rooms are filled with music, sketches, and the soft mess of creativity. Here, art and play are not separate. They're encouraged to blend. But perhaps the heart of the house lies just past the back door. The outdoor terrace, paved with Tennessee stone, stretches toward a private swimming pool and spa. There's a covered porch with string lights, a cozy outdoor fireplace, and a lounge area built for late-night songwriting sessions under the stars. You'll also find a car barn, a combination garage and studio where Chris records demos, tinkers with guitars, and sometimes just escapes with a notebook and silence. It's not glamorous, but it's sacred. Surrounding it all is land, not just acreage, but a living canvas. Chris and Morgane run an organic regenerative farm here, complete with deep well systems, high ground lookout spots, and shaded trails where the kids explore after school. At sunset, you'll often find Chris sitting alone on a hill behind the house. No camera, no spotlight. Just a man with a guitar, watching the day fold into night. This home isn't a retreat from fame. It's a return to self. It's the kind of place where creativity feels natural, where every window frames a new verse, and where you can still hear the laughter of family over the rustle of leaves. But for Chris Stapleton, home doesn't end in Tennessee. Because tucked away in the bluegrass heart of Lexington, Kentucky, lies another place, older, quieter, filled with history and memory. Let's go there next. Estate in Lexington. If Tennessee is where Chris Stapleton creates, then Lexington, Kentucky is where he remembers. Set just minutes from downtown and the Lexington airport, this estate feels like a timeless pause button, pressed firmly in the middle of a fast-moving world. It isn't just a house. It's a legacy wrapped in limestone, where every stone whispers stories of Southern heritage and every hallway hums with echoes of the past. Built in the classic colonial revival style, the home sits gracefully on nearly 2 acres of private land. But don't let the word revival fool you. This is not some stiff antique mansion trapped in the past. It's alive. It's personal. And it was designed by the very architect who built Chris's own family's private residence. The moment you arrive, you're greeted by the soft glow of hand-cut Kentucky limestone, warm and textured, aged yet elegant. The front steps lead you to a door that feels like it's held 1,000 hellos. And once you step inside, the house unfolds like a living journal. There are 8 bedrooms, 2 of which are flex spaces that Chris and Morgane have used for music, crafts, or writing, and 8 bathrooms, each with its own unique charm. 2 of the bathrooms feature Jack and Jill showers, a nod to family intimacy and architectural tradition. The ceilings are high, the floors creak in the best way, and the rooms are filled with original fireplaces, 6 in total, each one carefully preserved like relics from a Southern novel. The primary suite, located on the first floor, includes dual walk-in dressing rooms, where every flannel shirt and pair of worn boots has its place. But this isn't about luxury. It's about comfort. It's about slowing down. The fully finished walkout basement is more than just storage or space. It's a complete private apartment with a separate entrance. Perfect for guests, visiting bandmates, or even a quiet corner for Morgane's songwriting sessions. The garage, designed for 2 vehicles, isn't just practical. It's equipped with heating and cooling, making it a year-round creative zone. Like everything in Chris's world, form follows feeling. Step outside, and the landscape opens up with deliberate serenity. A reimagined seasonal creek winds its way through the yard, and a gentle fountain system gurgles like a lullaby. Newly planted trees meet century-old foundations, while expansive hardscaping allows for outdoor dinners, bonfires, and maybe even a few backyard acoustic sets. Then there's the converted barn, a charming garden house with air conditioning, wooden floors, and a cozy loft space. It's part tool shed, part hideaway, and full of personality. Right next to it, a storybook 2-story playhouse for the Stapleton kids. Think hand-carved rails, windows that open, and laughter bouncing off the walls. This property isn't a showpiece for magazines. It's a refuge. It's where the past isn't left behind but woven into the walls, where Chris returns to reconnect with his roots, to walk the same soil as his father, to raise his kids with the same grounding values that once shaped him. Here, the wind carries old country tunes. The bricks remember. And the trees, they've been watching a long time. But even amid the silence and beauty of these 2 homes, one question lingers. How much is all of this worth? Not just in sentiment, but in real dollars. Let's take a closer look at the quiet fortune of a man who never sought fame, but earned it anyway. How does a man who avoids the spotlight quietly build a fortune worth $25 million? In Chris Stapleton's world, success doesn't scream, it strums. And that fortune? It was never the goal, but it's the reward of a voice that cuts through noise, and a pen that's written the emotional core of modern country music. It all started long before the world knew his name, before Grammy stages, before the Tennessee whiskey revival. Chris was already crafting hits from behind the curtain, writing songs that would go on to define the careers of others. Over 1,000 songs bear his signature, each lyric, each chord, quietly stacking value, one royalty check at a time. No flashy cars on Instagram, No chains of restaurants or tequila labels, just a man, his music, and a simple philosophy. Do good work, own your voice, live true. But Chris Stapleton's fortune isn't just counted in dollars. It's reflected in the lives he's changed, the voices he's amplified, and the compassion he shows. Because behind every award and every sale is a man who gives just as much as he earns. Let's take a look at the soul behind the fortune. Philanthropy. What kind of man gives in silence while the world watches him sing? Chris Stapleton may have millions in the bank, but his true currency is compassion. Long before the headlines, long before the stadium tours, Chris and his wife Morgane made a quiet promise to themselves. If we ever have enough, we'll give more than expected, without needing applause. And that promise became Outlaw State of Kind, the foundation they built not as a PR stunt, but as an extension of who they are. The name says it all. Outlaw, for the independent spirit. Kind, for the heart behind every note. Through this foundation, the Stapletons have donated millions of dollars, but you'd be hard-pressed to find them bragging about it. They prefer to give locally, give quietly, and give meaningfully. When deadly tornadoes tore through Kentucky, Chris didn't just send a check. He returned to his hometown, boots in the mud, handing out relief supplies, hugging neighbors who had lost everything, and restoring dignity where disaster had taken hold. In Tennessee, his philanthropy reaches into school classrooms, where he's funded kitchen renovations, new libraries, and even recording studios for students who dream the way he once did. His foundation provides music instruments for kids, mental health support for veterans, and direct funding to PTSD treatment programs through partnerships with groups like Give an Hour and Operation Song. He doesn't just cut checks, he listens, he shows up, and he remembers. Because Chris knows what it feels like to grow up in a small town with big dreams but limited means. And so, he meets people where they are, whether in a rural school, a hospital, or a post-disaster shelter. One of his most personal missions? Supporting veterans. He's worked with organizations that use songwriting as therapy, helping former soldiers turn trauma into melody. He believes in the healing power of music, not just as entertainment, but as medicine. Even during his tours, a portion of ticket sales is discreetly allocated to causes in the cities he visits. He gives in real time, in real places, impacting lives he'll never meet. There's no headline for that, no camera flash, just quiet generosity flowing through the rhythm of his everyday life. And perhaps the most beautiful part? Much of what Chris gives is never announced. Some of his biggest donations remain anonymous, known only to those who receive them and the quiet heart behind the gesture. Because for Chris Stapleton, kindness isn't a campaign, it's a way of being. But behind every act of compassion is a man, a father, a husband, a friend, living a life far from the stage lights. So who is Chris Stapleton when he's not performing? Let's step inside his quiet world and see the life he's built. Not for show, but for soul. Personal life. When the last note fades and the crowd disappears, what does life sound like for Chris Stapleton? It sounds like barefoot kids running through fields, like Morgane's laughter floating through the kitchen window, like the soft strum of a guitar under a Tennessee sky, played not for fans, but for family. At the center of Chris Stapleton's personal world is Morgane, the woman who's been there since before the spotlight. They met while working at neighboring music publishing houses in Nashville. One day, she walked into his office and simply said, "I came to hear you sing." That moment turned into a song, and that song became a life. The two married in 2007, and today they raise 5 children together. A son born in 2009, a daughter in 2010, twin boys born in 2018, and another son who arrived just a year later,
They've built their home on the pillars of privacy, authenticity, and presence. Unlike many celebrity couples, Chris and Morgane live far from the cameras. They don't attend every red carpet. They don't post every detail. Because their love isn't curated, it's quietly lived. Their life unfolds on their Tennessee farm, where days are filled with family breakfasts, morning walks, and music woven into every moment. Chris often writes from the front porch, kids playing nearby, dogs lounging at his feet, Morgane humming in the background. It's a rhythm more powerful than any stadium encore. Despite his fame, Chris is known for doing school drop-offs, helping with homework, and grilling dinner himself. He still drives his own truck. He still mows the lawn. He still knows the names of his neighbors. Weekends, when not on tour, are reserved for family hikes, garden work, and spontaneous jam sessions in the barn. Sometimes, Morgane joins in. Their harmonies, whether on stage or in the kitchen, feel like a secret language only they understand. Vacations are simple, quiet trips to Kentucky to visit extended family or just setting up a tent in the backyard for the kids. For Chris, luxury isn't about yachts or private islands. It's about time, the one thing you can't earn twice. He's also an intensely present father. He's spoken often about choosing fewer shows to spend more time with his children, stating plainly, "They're only young once. I don't want to miss it." That same grounded nature extends to his friendships. He prefers small gatherings over big parties. He'll often invite fellow musicians to the farm, not to network, but to sit around a fire, swap stories, and play for the joy of it. Even in the studio, he brings his kids to watch, believing they should see music as a family affair, not just a profession. There's no division between Chris the artist and Chris the man. He's simply Chris, husband, father, son of Kentucky, and steward of something deeper than fame. If this journey through Chris Stapleton's world moved you, his music, his home, his heart, then let that feeling linger a little longer. Hit like, tap subscribe, and ring the bell icon to stay connected with stories that matter. Because sometimes, it's in the quietest lives we find the loudest truths.